Um, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We have with us today somebody who absolutely does not need any introduction. Somebody we admire and respect a lot. Positive role model for women, not only in South Asia but all around the world. Our very own ACE director from Pakistan, Mehreen Jabbar. Thank you so much, Mehreen, for coming on Mera Bachpan.
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, I totally missed just the time difference, so I was late.
No worries at all. And let me just briefly tell you and the viewers about Mera Bachpan. So, Mera Bachpan is an offshoot of Bachpan Ki Kahaniyan. And Bachpan Ki Kahaniyan is a passion project of mine. It's a podcast that I started almost 10 months ago now.
Hmm.
And it's the first ever podcast on Urdu stories for children. And the idea is to preserve Urdu language and to revive the art and medium of Urdu story narration. तो ये है and then मेरा बचपन basically we want we invite inspiring individuals like yourself and we want to ask you about your bachpan, your inspirations, where does your motivation come from, so it can inspire both parents and children. So yeah, welcome to Mera Bachpan.
Thank you.
All right. I'd first like to talk about, your thoughts on Bachpan Ki Kahaniyan. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to the podcast, or if you would like to share your own experience in your childhood when you were, when you were a child. Did you used to listen to cassette kahaniyan ya Urdu ki kahaniyan in any forms? Can you please?
My kahaniya, I think, was mainly from the house. It was, like all of us who grew up in the 80s, it was a very different time. It was a time of no internet, no social media, no iPhones, no iPads, no cable TV. It was our one and only PTV and Alif Laila and uske सुबह से लेके रात I think 9 बजे खत्म होता था या 10 बजे, not sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we used to live next door to our grandparents, my Nani and Nana. And I think for me, the storytelling was all about from the family and from them. And, running around in the garden and listening to their times. And I also grew up in a house where storytelling was very kind of common. My father having been a filmmaker or an ad person, including my mother, so both running an ad agency. So it was a house where stories were very much alive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my initial kind of introduction to this was from the home.
Okay. And tell us a little bit more about your bachpan. How was your bachpan? How were you as a child? Tell us a little bit about that.
How was I as a child? It was so long ago, I've totally forgotten. I think what I remember, I was very shy and awkward. And so my younger brother is almost 7 years younger than me. So I think I grew up, pretty much kind of surrounded by another cousin who was a similar age, my khala's son. But us tarah wo nahi tha, like, a lot of children around me. So it
Okay.
was the first 6 7 years were a little kind of alone in the sense of being next to children, but as I said, it was a big kind of my it was great to have grandparents next to you also,
Hmm.
together with my parents. So and हमारा उस जमाने में lawn जरा सा बड़ा होता था, so what could run around, play football, hockey or cricket or anything. So I
Hmm.
remember that coconut trees the. So it was that time where you can, my grandparents loved having these banana trees. So we used to have घर के. अब वो ज़माना I think almost finished. Unfortunately, we don't even have gardens anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, and I remember sitting in the evenings, always all of us having chai and French fries. Um, yeah, but I'll have to keep. You're right. मुझे I think बादाम ज़्यादा खाने होंगे because इतना कुछ मैं भूल चुकी हूँ. I mean, there are bits and pieces of memory, and
Right.
depending on which aspect of childhood, childhood
Right.
starts. When do
Hmm.
memories start really?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think my
But
memories start at 8 9. उससे पहले कुछ
okay.
याद नहीं आ रहा.
But one of your fondest memories that you remember.
Fondest memories was that I did have a weird obsession with keeping different kinds of pets. So at one
Okay.
point I had a ton of murga murgis, har tarah
Okay.
ke. देसी मुर्गियां थी, and they were given the most craziest of names. फिर दो मुर्गे थे called Snowball and Napoleon, जो सफेद मुर्गे थे,
Okay.
weren't the best. Napoleon was not a nice guy. And he unfortunately one day was eaten by a stray dog who came in,
Oh.
and his brother Snowball, who was my favorite, died some days later by the same dog. I don't know where he was coming from, and I remember
Okay.
keeping his feather for a long time in my journal.
Okay.
फिर rabbits
Okay.
भी थे, दुम्बे भी
अच्छा.
थे, हाँ.
अच्छा. All
Like
right.
I wasn't normal like having dogs and cats. I had these weird
Okay.
pets. Yeah.
All right. तो ये roosters और ये जो रखे ये तो बहुत शोर नहीं मचाते थे घर में?
वो गार्डन में थे, घर में तो नहीं
अच्छा. Okay. फिर भी. Right.
थे.
Okay.
We had a ton of azans happening.
Right, right.
Hmm.
Okay, all right. Acha, I wanna talk about parenting a little because a lot of our viewers are parents. My first point of contact actually are parents जो फिर बच्चों को कहानियां सुनाते हैं. So I'm always intrigued to ask कि आपकी parenting कैसी हुई. Um, तो and especially आपके case में because we know your parents and Javed Jabbar साहब माशाल्लाह an extraordinary man with of many talents. So I was wondering, was he an extraordinary father as well, and what kind of parenting did he adopt?
I think they were, I mean, I have to say, I'm so grateful to them because right from the start, I think Bachpan se, I just remember getting unconditional support and love. And there was no, even jab main advertising chhod ke, which was their profession. I mean, this is how we were, living. And I said, I actually मुझे नहीं करना, मुझे filmmaking में जाना है. उस वक्त in the 90s, filmmaking really was, हमारी industry कुछ थी नहीं. हमारे पास सिर्फ PTV था. So it was an area which is not like today, where you want to get into drama बनाने या commercials बनाने उस तरह. So, but I remember at that point, absolutely no hesitation in saying, pursue your things, your dream. And when I was young, I remember Abba helping me a lot to write. I used to write for Dawn. There was a children's section. So मैं
Mm-hmm.
काफी articles लिखती थी, even though I was a little scared of writing, and I still am. For some reason, वो इतना confidence नहीं है with writing. And I feel, my father, who's an excellent writer, has written books and articles and all of that. He really guided me and helped me say what I wanted to say when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. Same with my mother, kind of always. I think there was kind of no judgment, which is very important. जब आप बड़े हो रहे हो कि आपको talk down ना करें parent कि तुम ये नहीं कर सकते या तुम ऐसे हो या तुम में ये खामी है. It's always good to have a positive affirmation around you and to have that feeling कि my parents will support me no matter what. I think you're very
Mm-hmm.
blessed if you have that kind of upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people I feel काफी लोग especially हमारी इंडस्ट्री में मुझे इतने लोग लिखते हैं कि मैं राइटर बनना चाह रही हूँ, मैं एक्ट्रेस बनना चाह रही हूँ, लेकिन मेरी फैमिली नहीं मान रही. And I can't even imagine वो क्या what you're going through, because there's nothing worse than कि आपके dreams shatter हो रहे हो and आप
Mm-hmm.
कुछ ना कर सके क्योंकि आप इतना प्रेशर है सोसाइटी का या पेरेंट्स का. So thankfully I never had to go through that and I'm blessed.
Right. Right, mashallah. Acha, I want to read something जो recently मैंने जब्बार साहब का एक लम्स का webinar था and it was on democracy. So he
Mm-hmm.
said something which was that we need to have a process of democratic practice within the family and the community to recognize and respect the right of young people to choose what they want to do. Democracy doesn't mean voting. It means a culture of democracy that begins at each household without undermining the respect of the elders and parents, but keeping in mind the individuality of the child. And I was wondering that while he was saying that, I was listening to that, and I was wondering that did you realize that he was using this as an informed parenting strategy, and did at that time did you recognize that you had that privilege?
When you're growing up you always have some kind of contention. या मुझे ज़्यादा strict हो रहे हैं parents या I remember जब भी मेहमान आते थे, so my father even before I entered said सलाम करो or get up. So I was like, oh, मैं कर तो रही हूँ, why are you preempting? But I understand because he's, taught me those values of, always get up when someone older enters the room,
Right.
always greet people, and and always be respectful. Don't shout, don't do gali galoch. So
Mm.
that I've always been raised by both my parents and my grandparents. So, and they were strict, and कभी कभी आप बचपन में नहीं understand करते वो चीजें.
Mm.
But in
Mm.
retrospect and having grown older now, I know the value of you can't. There is, there is freedom that should be allotted to children, but not कि आप खुल्लम खुल्ला जो मर्जी आए करें. There are principles and values जिसको आपको follow करना होता है, and that's what makes you a a civilized unquote unquote human being.
Right, absolutely. Again, I was wondering, Javed Jabbar Saab, being a writer, politician, and intellectual scholar, did he ever put that burden, of the burden of his dreams on you or your sibling, or did he put any high standards for you, or did you ever feel that performance pressure that you carry this weight of his legacy?
I think I did in the beginning for sure, and I still do, I think. But there was always a emphasis tha ke do better. There was constantly a challenge thrown out to both of us, to my brother Kamal and myself, कि आप complacent ना हो जाओ, आप relax ना
Mm,
कर जाओ. And he always used to hate the word boredom. Whenever you say कि मैं बोर हो रही हूँ, he said, what the hell is boredom? जिंदगी में इतना कुछ है पढ़ने के लिए, सीखने के लिए, देखने के लिए, समझने के लिए, and how dare you say you're bored? You have one life, so don't ever say
right.
that. Uh, and the other thing was also he constantly, because I've never known such a reader as him. I think he reads at least 3 4 books at one time and finishes like them like a cup of tea. One, so I've never been able to do that. But there's always been that level, and I think both, again, I'll say, my mother as well, to have challenged us to be better. Um,
Right.
and never like be okay with what you have, what you've achieved.
Okay. Before we move on to the next section, I just want to wrap up this one and just ask you, the key takeaways from your parents that has helped you become who you are today, your biggest strengths.
Uh, being Giving me confidence, self confidence, giving me unconditional love, and allowing me to be who I am.
Right. Mashallah. All right. So now I want to talk a little bit about you, Mehreen, as a person, and what I hear from your interviews, and I see that you are a very private person, and you call yourself an introvert. Even now, you mentioned कि बचपन में भी I was shy, right? What is a power of an introvert?
I don't know, the power of an introvert is sometimes, I guess, you make less of a fool of yourself because better to be quiet than talk rubbish. So I think it saved me from some tweets, and लोग social media पे sometimes they say things और फिर वो कहते हैं, oh no, ये मैंने क्यों कह दिया. So
Right,
thankfully that has saved me from enacting out my stupidity.
right.
I've kept quiet.
Right. But honestly, I was because lately you'll see there are a lot of TED Talks and people are now talking about it that it's okay to be an introvert. And why I'm saying is when I went to a business school also. I went to LUMS, and when you're in an environment like that, which is very competitive, and you are unconsciously sort of pushed into. Um, Becoming a certain type of personality, you need to be outspoken, you need to say things that where they maybe not even needed, right?
Mhm.
So I genuinely because and you're an artist, right? So you operate from maybe a, a point of sensitivity as well. So I really want to hear from you, being an introvert, as you call yourself. What would you tell others about the power of an introvert, or something like you say that this is the positive or the good things?
So, I mean, I am an introvert, but I am also very social because I belong to an industry जहाँ आप अकेले काम नहीं करते. Obviously, I'm not a
Hmm.
writer or a painter who works alone, right? So in that sense, one has to come out of their comfort zone, and I am comfortable working with large groups of people, and I've become more and more confident over the years. Uh, Having said that, introvert mode is like maybe I am as I say, more private, more guarded, because I do feel that my own life is my own life and my friends, and I don't owe anyone explanations. आजकल वो है ना कि आप सब कुछ, there's an expectation कि everyone should know everything about everyone,
Right.
and there I feel that's not justified. You have your own private worlds and your own spaces which are sacred. So
Right.
I think that power should be that space should be given to everyone, not just people who are in the limelight.
Mm-hmm.
बट हमारे यहाँ स्पेशली साउथ एशिया में ये है कि बहुत लोग इंटरेस्टेड होते हैं दूसरों की जिंदगियों में, बहुत ज्यादा. आई थिंक एक हद तक होना चाहिए. बट
Right.
I feel that has also saved me from that kind of scrutiny, and everyone knows कि इससे आप इतने सवाल कर सकते हो, उससे ज्यादा करोगे
Mm.
then you'll get
Mm.
an ice block, which is me.
Mm. Fair enough. And actually, my next question was in line with what you were saying about the industry, and I was wondering that if someone is an introvert, right, or is not very outgoing, uh, how do you navigate in an industry which where you feel that you really need to put yourself out there and you need to socialize, and or how did you navigate when you started? Now it's a different story because you've been in it for a very long time.
I think it depends what you do in the industry. अगर आप actor actress हो, it's a little more difficult. Even though there are examples of actors, not just Pakistan में, but even in the US, where उनके नहीं है social media presence, but अब आ गई है. But it depends what you put on. There are some जो everyday post करेंगे, everyday, whether they have coffee or read a book or go to the bathroom, वो हर चीज social media पे होगी.
Right.
But for people like me, it's easier because directors are, usually behind the scenes, so इतना हमें वो नहीं होता. Pressure नहीं होता. Uh, and I'll give you examples. There are like, look at Shoaib Mansoor, who's never given an interview, who is one of our top directors. Umaira Ahmed never comes on screen. So I think eventually your work will speak for yourself, even if you are on Instagram. And I'm on Instagram a lot. कुछ ज़्यादा ही हूँ. But I do it to promote work, and then otherwise I put pictures up of the streets where I walk. But
Right.
it doesn't matter कि अगर आपके 4 million followers हैं. Eventually, if your work is not good, then it doesn't really matter. Even though there are people who have nothing to offer but have hundreds and millions of followers. It's a
Mm.
strange world.
Yeah.
So to navigate, I would say कि देखो, you have to network. Obviously, you have to put yourself out there if you're in the performing arts. You can't sit in your room and expect कि सब कुछ हो जाएगा. But as long as you do it with the right intent, और आप फैले नहीं, आप गलत मक्खन ना लगाएं लोगों को, be honest, be truthful, and if you want work, take it with that sincerity to that person.
Mm.
वो जो शेख चिल्ली बनना या शो ऑफ करना, that I feel is detrimental. उससे कोई फायदा नहीं होता in the long run.
Mm. Okay. Uh, I want to ask a little bit about your drivers or motivators in life. What drives you in life?
I think uh, you tell stories from life. I think life is very exciting. Um, it's it won't be fun to die. I have to say, I'll miss the TV shows. I'll miss the weather. I'll miss friends and family. There's so
Right.
much to offer. I think the driving force is what you see around you. There is just so much happening all the time, and just be aware of the world around, not just aapki dunya, but bahar ki dunya, and as much as possible. And I don't follow this myself. I think one should read more. I've totally kind of become really bad. I've restarted just recently. Read,
Okay.
watch television, listen to music, do all the good stuff in life. This is what keeps you energized, I feel. And
Right.
indulge less in उसने क्या किया, छोटी छोटी बातों पे इतना टाइम ना वेस्ट करें.
Right. And how do you define success, Mehreen? What does success mean to you?
Lots of money. No,
Right.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. No. Success does not
Yeah.
mean that. Success
Yeah.
means different things to different people. Some
Right.
think that being successful is being a millionaire or having lots of money. Some people think having a lovely family and just raising children is success for them. Some people want to retire to a farm and raise lots of animals and produce vegetables. For me, I would say I want success would be that I haven't hurt anyone, that my friends and family are alive and healthy and well and around me.
Mm.
And yeah, and that's it. And I live to the point that I'm healthy. That's it. It's very simple.
Mm.
And I do work that I'm proud of, and I don't disappoint myself.
Right, right, माशाल्लाह. Okay, so अभी तो मेरीन आज की मेरीन जो है would be, I'm assuming, would be different from say 20 years ago, Mehreen, right?
Mhm.
What would you tell your younger self um, in terms of when you weren't as popular as you are today, or weren't as successful work-wise, right? And you had a dream, you pursued it. What would you tell your younger self?
Um, I would say to my younger self that, my God, I'm watching this show called Dark on Netflix these days, and it's
Okay.
all about time travel when the characters are old and young and they are meeting each other.
Okay, I
So
have to see
yeah,
that. I have to
yeah,
watch
yeah.
it.
It's very
Okay,
German and very dark.
okay.
Um, I would say maybe in वो तो hindsight में आप देखते हो कि maybe कुछ चीजें अगर आपने लोगों को दुख दिया या maybe कुछ और प्यार दे सकते थे, maybe spend more time with the family or maybe not hurt so and so. I think those are some of the things that you might have done differently.
Mm,
Work wise, I don't know. I think maybe I should have looked for work in the US, which I didn't. When I moved here. I did focus on Pakistan, which there are no regrets because I love telling stories in Pakistan. So
mm.
those are a couple of things, but overall, it's not. I don't beat myself up about it. के हाय कहाँ कैसे गुजर गई जवानी.
What I meant was just, if I look back 10 years ago when I went into, when I stepped into the art world, coming from the business background, I was thinking, at times I feel I'm very hard on myself because I want to achieve a lot. And then, at times you need to remind yourself that the process is as important as the destination, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I was just wondering, have you ever felt that way, or have you been, you're not that harsh to yourself, and you take it as it comes, go with the flow sort of a person?
I think there are different stages, and obviously you can't be one thing in so many years of your existence, right? There are phases and months and weeks, maybe years where you feel very kind of insecure. You don't know if you've done enough, whether you are good enough. There are those periods. I'm definitely not उस that cocky or self-confidence के confident कि जो मैं कर रही हूँ बहुत ही जबरदस्त कर रही हूँ. I think वो periods आते हुए अपने आप को फिर आप उस state से निकालना होता है. And how do you do that? It's a constant conversation with yourself. Uh, and it is, I am more kind of, I've generally been a realist and optimist. I do try and avoid looking at the dark side of life, but that could be also denying things, which I feel that's could be one of the things that maybe I should not be doing. Sometimes it's good to look at grief or something that's negative in the face rather than turn your face away from it or put
Hmm.
your head in the sand like an ostrich. So that I feel is something I need to learn more to not always have always look on the bright side of life.
Yeah, but you seem very composed, Mehreen. You come across as a very poised, composed person. Where does that composure come from? Is it, yeah, okay, let you
I think maybe
answer.
I don't know. That comes from. I think maybe I need therapy. I keep in a lot of things. So not to the point of I don't see them and become bitter, but I'm generally. I mean, that's my fitrat. I don't know. I do remember when I was born. My father tells me the story that when he saw me for the first time, and the woman who raised me for the first 7 years, Sharifa Bibi, said कि इसमें बुड्ढे की रूह है. So I think I may have been born with a buddhe ki ruh.
See, that could also be if you spend a lot of time with your grandparents. I felt that जो भी अपने नाना नानी या दादा दादी के साथ ज़्यादा टाइम गुजारते हैं उनमें थोड़ी maturity level थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा होती है. So that could be that. Acha, I
I think
wanted,
so. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of people are saying you're one of the finest storytellers of our country. You're the best directors, storytellers
That's
of our
very sweet.
times. How do you how do you when you're such an amazing director, love your work. How do you react to that when people say things like that to you, Mary? Do you genuinely feel that they're right, or you feel that no, I need to go a long way? Like, where do you see yourself?
So my friends always tease me about it because I appear to be really humble. But actually, I love the attention and the praise. Who doesn't? and and
Yeah.
there's a phrase they say that I'm cautiously humble or something. I've forgotten, but
Right.
it's a
Okay.
joke. कि
Yeah.
ऊपर से तुम बहुत वो नजर आती हो, you know. Obviously, it's nice to hear good things about one's work. At the same time, I've heard a lot of criticism of work that I've done. As I said, कि 20-25 years ka kaam, you can't, everything can't be great and good. There are things that are terrible. There are things that I'm not proud of. So you have to be ready to listen to both, and this industry is that industry where आपको criticism एकदम मिलेगा और आपको सहना पड़ेगा क्योंकि आपके मुंह पे आता है वो, right? And
Hmm.
especially आजकल, because people write and you know exactly how they feel. So you have to
Right.
take it with that, and take criticism, accept constructive criticism, try and grow from it, learn from it, and not let that put you down and kill
Hmm.
you, because it has done that to me. Sometimes it's
Right.
very difficult to hear that because आपने दो
Yeah.
तीन साल मेहनत की हुई होती है, फिर लोग कहते हैं ये तो मजा नहीं आया. So,
Hmm.
but then you learn and then you come up with something else. So this is part of this profession. So
Right.
yeah, and thank you for whoever is saying I can't. They
Yeah,
keep
no,
coming up. Yeah.
everyone's saying that. But in your opinion, because you hear that all the time, what, as a director, what is your biggest strength? Why do you think people love your work so much?
But some people, yeah, I mean, the people who do love the work, I guess they like the realistic form of storytelling. This is वो मेरा हरबत से था. I think that's my style, or that's my desire on how to tell a story, that it's real.
Hmm.
And मेरे influences भी पुराने थे, like the old PTV dramas, even the old Indian films and or European films. So very kind of to the point, ज़्यादा over नहीं करना कुछ. I think
Hmm.
maybe people who prefer that kind of storytelling, they like it.
Right, absolutely. Um, by the way, Mere, it's watching Ek Jhooti Love Story is on the cards. I need to subscribe, get the Z5 subscription. But I've been hearing raving reviews about that. लेकिन मैंने वो देखा था कैंडी का जो है मेरे दोस्त मेरे यार, and I absolutely loved it because it's very musical, which you don't get to see in our part, in our drama. So I loved the fact that it had so much music and so light, and really enjoyed that.
Thank
So
you,
yeah,
thank
and
you.
and,
Yeah.
and especially love the because being a photographer also, I'm always looking at the lighting. So that is also a visual treat, how
Mhm.
you're using light.
Yeah,
Um,
that's Rana Kamran, the DOP, who's responsible
okay,
for that. Yes.
all right, okay. So now let's move to media. And since you talked about purane, PTV dramas and all, I'm sure you've heard about this a lot of times, but I want to say it because I feel that I share this sort of personal connection with this character also. धूप किनारे में जोया का character, for example, एक जो था.
Mm.
Marina Khan ने जो play
Mm-hmm.
किया था, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember that the first time it played, I think I was a little girl. उस वक्त मुझे याद नहीं, but I've gone back to that drama quite a few times later in life, and so if you see that character, you see that she is um, she's strong, she's independent, but she's very relatable because she's not like know-it-all sort of a person. She's learning, she's growing. She makes mistakes. She shares this beautiful relationship with her father. She's witty, she's funny. She thinks a lot, so she's very perceptive that way. So you see a depth in her character. And I remember that even as a child, I wanted to be a doctor just उसको देख के कि मैं जोया जैसा मुझे जोया जैसे बनना है. तो आज एक तो पहला सवाल कि ऐसे कैरेक्टर्स क्यों नहीं बनते, क्योंकि चले ड्रामा या प्रोडक्शन तो समझ आती है कि कमर्शियल एंगल XYZ, बट ऐसे ऐसे कैरेक्टर्स which we all know that media has a power to make an impact, to change mindsets. तो
Mm.
ऐसे कैरेक्टर्स क्यों नहीं बनते पहले, फिर मैं दूसरा सवाल आपसे करती हूँ.
Uh, इस तरह बनते नहीं, बिकॉज इस तरह अगर कोई लिख दे तो फिर आपके ऊपर डंडा आ जाता है, हथौड़ा, फ्रॉम द चैनल हेड्स एंड द कंटेंट हेड्स के इसको आपने इतना ग्रे क्यों कर दिया, और औरतें तो सिर्फ इस तरह की आप लिखें जो पिसे या ये हो रहा है या वो हो रहा है, मेजोरिटी। अनफॉर्चुनेटली टेलीविजन का ये हाल हो गया है कि अब उनको जोया जैसे कैरेक्टर्स नहीं समझ आ रहे, इस वजह से लिखे नहीं जा रहे। हालांकि राइटर्स हैं जो लिख सकते हैं इस तरह के, एंड एक्टर्स मर रहे हैं इस तरह के रोल्स प्ले करने के लिए, बट
Right.
आपका जो प्रोडक्शन हाउस है और चैनल हेड्स हैं वो मान नहीं रहे। इट्स एज सिंपल एज दैट।
Right, because I remember we were in Cornell, 2004 की बात, and came across this girl, Indian थी, वो भी, she was a student also, and she's like, "You're from Pakistan? Oh, I love Dr. Ahmed." And like, the first thing that she said to me was this. I
हम्म।
love that drama, and वो तो खैर Dr. Ahmed पे ही बहुत आशिक थी, but because they don't, that subtle romance. And but the funny thing is that आज भी लोग उसी को याद करते हैं. But then you're saying कि if the audience wants to see it, then channel heads क्यों नहीं वो दिखाते हैं? Like why
आई थिंक
are they
इट
not willing?
आई थिंक इट डिपेंड्स व्हाट यू कॉल द ऑडियंस। यू सी ऑडियंस बहुत वेरीड है, वास्ट है। चैनल हेड्स केटर नाउ टू मैस, व्हाट दे थिंक इज मैस अपील, क्योंकि वो उनकी रेटिंग्स जिस तरह भी वो टैबुलेट करते हैं उनकी रेटिंग्स, तो वो कौन देख रहा है, एंड उनके हिसाब से जितने आपको थप्पड़ पड़ेंगे और जितने अफेयर्स होंगे या रेप्स होंगे या व्हाटएवर मेलोड्रामा होगा हाइटेंड, और 30 30 40 40 एपिसोड बस चलती जा रही, ड्रैग करते जा रहे हैं, उनके लिए वो काम कर रहा है। हालांकि आई फील देयर इज एन ऑडियंस फॉर ऑल काइंड्स, वो भी दिखाएं, आप बिल्कुल दिखाएं इस तरह की चीजें, बट देयर शुड बी एटलीस्ट 40 50% रिजर्व फॉर डिफरेंट जॉनर्स ऑल्सो, जैसे होता था पहले। मुझे किसी ने पूछा था कि ये एक्चुअली 4 5 साल में काफी डिक्लाइन हो गया टीवी, एंड आई रियली फील डिक्लाइन हो गया, एंड आई नो इट्स सो सैड, बिकॉज मैंने अपना करियर वहीं से शुरू किया, बट मेरा दिल ही नहीं चाहता टीवी करने का, बिकॉज एक तो स्क्रिप्ट्स ही इतने इतने बुरे आते हैं कि मैं वो 4 पेजेस के बाद आई हैव टू से कि आई एम नॉट सेइंग सारे ऐसे हैं, देयर इज
Right,
गुड,
right,
अच्छा
absolutely,
अच्छा
yeah.
काम भी डेफिनेटली हो रहा है, बट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट
Hmm.
मेजोरिटी, क्योंकि पहले
Right,
हमारे मेजोरिटी अच्छे होते थे, अब हमारे
right.
माइनॉरिटी प्लेज अच्छे हैं, एंड आई रियली फील इट इज I have to say the bosses are to blame, and
Hmm.
I don't care if they don't like what I'm saying, but this is it.
Right,
It's the people they've
yeah.
employed to study the dramas and the scripts that are getting. They want one
Hmm.
particular kind of thing, and
Hmm.
अगर आप देखो तो एक तरह के सारे ड्रामे हो गए, एक ही तरह
Hmm.
म्यूजिक चलती रहती है उसमें,
Right,
एक ही तरह के वो ही शादी, कजन और मदर इन, it's the same damn
right.
thing. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I was wondering that I mean, कोई accountability नहीं है, like हमारा media जो है, Pakistan media especially, do they not recognize this responsibility that they have, of changing? In fact, अगर आप इतना, मेरे अपने ख्याल में, if you are showing negative stories, I feel violence incites violence. You are showing domestic violence, आप harassment दिखा रहे हैं, rape दिखा रहे हैं, patriarchal roles दिखा रहे हैं. Are you not endorsing rape culture?
mhm,
And
mhm.
like who is uh, like why do we not take the media? Why doesn't it take the responsibility? Or is there no danda, no accountability for that?
I think the accountability, because I don't believe in banning anything or in external, it has to come from within. I think the audience and the people who are in the industry, people like me and the actors and directors, writers need to take a stand,
Right.
because एक तो एक नेटफ्लिक्स पे एक आई थी सीरीज कॉल्ड अनबिलीवेबल, आई डोंट नो अगर आपने देखी है, इट्स अ वेरी
Okay.
हार्ट wrenching, difficult to watch sometimes, and it's about rape, for example. It's
Okay.
about a woman who's raped and it's based on a true story. अगर आप वो देखो, फिर हमारे जो plays कुछ हैं which have dealt with it, it's night and day, because
Hmm.
and you're totally right that हम by heightening it on sensationalizing things like domestic violence, like rape, like abuse, आई थिंक हम एक इनजस्टिस ही कर रहे हैं। हालांकि उनका
Hmm.
इंटेंट ये कि हम बुराइयां दिखा रहे हैं सोसाइटी की, बट जिस तरह वो प्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं वो इतना ज्यादा उसमें मसाला और मेलोड्रामा है कि
Right.
एक्चुअली एट द एंड ऑफ द डे यू आर जस्ट लाइक बीटन ऑन द हेड, यू डोंट रियली
Hmm.
experience
Hmm.
anything, but oh my god, you don't learn anything from it. The victim is always this helpless person who
Right.
in the end को जाके या तो उसकी शादी कहीं करवा देते हैं या कुछ,
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
unfortunately the majority of what's happening. प्लस हम अपनी लिटरेचर से हट गए हम लोग. आई डोंट थिंक वो बुक रीडिंग का जो कल्चर है वो खत्म हो गया. पहले जो राइटर्स थे हमारे पास, वो एक बैकग्राउंड से आए थे. आई फील इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर राइटर्स कि वो पढ़ें
हम्म
मटेरियल हमारे मुल्क से, दूसरे मुल्कों से, ताकि आपकी स्टोरी टेलिंग की ब्रेथ एंड डेप्थ जरा बढ़े.
एब्सोल्युटली. और कंटेंट फॉर किड्स, डू यू नॉट फील के चाहे हमारे लिए वो क्या कलियां था, बल्कि मैंने उस दिन एक अपने एपिसोड में आई रिमेम्बर दिस सॉन्ग फ्रॉम मोस्ट प्रॉब्ली इट वाज फ्रॉम कलियां. शर्मीली के ऊपर था, शर्मीली बकरी होती है एक. सो आई स्टिल रिमेम्बर दैट, इट स्टिल ब्रिंग्स अ स्माइल ऑन माय फेस. लेकिन बच्चों का भी कोई कंटेंट ऐसा नहीं, वी आर नॉट प्रोड्यूसिंग दैट.
No, we're not, and we are actually the our kids. All of them are obsessed with their iPhones and iPads and all whatever they are seeing in there. So हम even अगर apps या OTT पे कुछ develop कर देना for them, I think that'll
Hmm.
be very very beneficial, and we should. नहीं है, मुझे तो नहीं
Hmm.
लग रहा कुछ है. I haven't watched it recently, but I don't think there is anything.
Right, right.
Maybe
और
PTV पे हो, I don't know.
हाँ, पीटीवी मैंने भी नहीं चेक किया. वन ऑफ द रीजंस ये पॉडकास्ट स्टार्ट करने का, व्हेन आई वाज थिंकिंग अबाउट द मीडियम, वाज दिस, बिकॉज आई वाज थिंकिंग कि हर वक्त बच्चा जो है वो देख रहा है कोई चीज, ऑन ऑन द टेबलेट, ऑन ऑन योर फोन,
Hmm.
ऑन योर स्क्रीन. सो वो सुनने वाली जो आप इमेजिन इमेजिन करते हैं कैरेक्टर्स को, वो चीज़ ही खत्म हो गई हुई है. सो
Hmm.
दैट वाज वन ऑफ द एफर्ट्स आल्सो टू डू दैट. अच्छा, अब हम मेरीन से आगे क्या एक्सपेक्ट करें? डू वी सी मोर फिल्म्स फ्रॉम यू? व्हाट आर द अपकमिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स?
अभी बस एक और वेब सीरीज पे काम हो रहा है.
ओके.
Hopefully, inshallah, next year at some point, whenever it's ready. And just currently working on a documentary.
ओके.
Uh, so far, that is it. बाकी
हम्म.
देखें, अगर कभी सिनेमा वापस इंशाल्लाह रिवाइव हो जाए. I really want to make a film.
ओके.
Before I die, I want to make one more film. So I hope I have the
इंशाल्लाह.
opportunity. Yeah.
इंशाल्लाह. एब्सोल्युटली. एब्सोल्युटली. एंड हमें ये बताएं थोड़े से और अपने कोई इंटरेस्ट. पोइट्री का इंटरेस्ट है, उर्दू पोइट्री का?
बहुत है लेकिन समझ कम है, अनफॉर्चुनेटली, एंड आई ब्लेम माई
ओके.
सेल्फ एंड ओ लेवल एजुकेशन. अनफॉर्चुनेटली
ओके.
उर्दू की एक क्लास होती थी. आई एम अ ह्यूज फैन ऑफ गजल्स एंड पुराने. आई लव अमानत अली साहब. I am the old the Iqbal Banos, and I love that kind of
ओके.
music. But
हाँ.
शायरी I need to get into and learn more, because वो फिर मुझे वर्ड्स की मीनिंग्स देखनी पड़ेंगी. इतनी अच्छी
राइट.
नहीं है,
अच्छा,
अनफॉर्चुनेटली.
कुछ सुना सकती हैं कोई
नहीं
शेर
नहीं नहीं, बिल्कुल भी
पसंदीदा?
नहीं सुना
नहीं.
सकती मैं. ये तो लाइव इंस्टाग्राम पे बेचती.
अच्छा, ठीक है. Any advice for aspiring filmmakers, directors who want to come into this field? क्या advice करेंगी?
मैं ये एडवाइस करूंगी कि जस्ट हैव अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ पेशेंस ऑल्सो. अगर अभी स्क्रीन प्लेज एक्सेप्ट नहीं हो रहे, या कोई आपके ईमेल्स का जवाब नहीं दे रहा, डोंट गेट डिसहार्टन्ड. एंड ऑलवेज कंटिन्यू स्टडिंग द क्राफ्ट. आई थिंक इट्स वेरी
हम्म.
इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप ये ना सोचें कि मैं उठ के परसों आई गेट फेम. आई थिंक जस्ट कीप रीडिंग. There is so much material online, up to YouTube and Google. Everything is available. हर तरह की free
Right.
classes हैं. So access to education is actually very very easy now. अब आपको
हम्म.
बहुत से डॉलर्स पे करके यूनिवर्सिटी जाने का अगर आप नहीं कर सकते, so बहुत कुछ है मटेरियल ऑनलाइन. And
Right.
I think the more you read books, I feel, and I'm talking to myself also, because I did stop. But I think
हम्म.
growing up I read a lot. It's very important. हर तरह का आप लिटरेचर, चाहे उर्दू हो इंग्लिश हो, आप पढ़ें.
हम्म. हम्म. अपने फैंस को कुछ कह दें. there's a your big fan from India, कावेरी हैं. और कहीं
हेलो.
आपने कहा था कि मैं डाई होने की भी बात की थी, तो किसी ने लिखा हुआ प्लीज डोंट डाई. यू सेड आई वांट टू मेक वन फिल्म बिफोर आई डाई.
Thank you
तो ये
guys.
वन मोर वेब सीरीज. ओके.
Thank you all so
ओके.
much. I'm sorry, it keeps growing up, so I can't respond. But thank
राइट,
you.
राइट.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Mehreen. I know you're very busy, but thank you so much for your time. And there's a time difference also, तो वो भी उसको भी करना.
Mm.
And I've been chasing you for some time, but
I
thank you
know.
so
I'm
much.
sorry.
नहीं, नहीं, नहीं. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and inshallah, we'll keep looking at your work and keep admiring you. And inshallah, hopefully, you will make a movie of your dreams one day, and we'll be the first ones to go and watch.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys. And hi, Kinza. She just I just saw the last
All
message. Okay, take care.
okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. This was MERA BACHPAN. This was the seventh episode. Keep watching. I will be putting this up on my IGTV, and also it'll be there on MERA BACHPAN YouTube channel as well. Thank you so much for everyone who has joined us. This is Mavash from Bachpan Ki Kahaniyan. Subscribe to the podcast also. It's available on all directories: Apple Podcast, Google, Stitcher, Spotify. Um, yeah, thank you so much. Take care of yourselves.